So as we approach Veterans Day, there's lots of different ways to recognize the men and the women that have served our country. Here at Team Foster, we're really honored and blessed to have some incredibly amazing supporters with huge platforms with a variety of backgrounds. So today we're going to talk about some of the comfortable, funny, and uncomfortable things what it means to be a veteran, what it means to support veterans, and do it from a bunch of different perspectives. My name is Nick Liermann. I'm the founder and executive director for Team Foster, an organization that's focused on supporting veterans through accredited life-saving service dogs. And I am also a proud Army veteran of 17 years of service and counting.
So I'm Dave Ogleton. I am a content creator, and I got famous online for doing dad jokes.
That's fucking awesome. My name is Matt Groark. This is my beautiful home. I am a full-time high school culinary teacher, and I've become, over the last 10 years, a barbecue content creator. I'm the brother and son of veterans, Army veterans, and connected to Nick and Team Foster almost a decade ago.
Hi everybody, I'm Ciara Strickland. I'm a Navy veteran, also a content creator and a content strategist for an influencer agency. I'm excited to be here.
Tell us about your dad. Where did he serve?
So my dad served in Korea, and he actually jumped parachute. What's the technical? What's the military name for it? I mean, he jumped from planes, and I coached high school basketball for a lot of years, and my dad would come to all the games, and Adric was 2, 3, 4 years old. And I have a picture of my dad sitting on the bleachers behind the bench, and Adric's on his lap, and one of our students is singing the national anthem, and my dad was holding Adric's hand on his heart, so just that example. My work with you and Team Foster makes him so incredibly proud.
Ciara, tell us a little bit about your background.
So I joined straight out of high school, so I think I was like 17, 18. And everyone in my high school, we graduated like 98 people. It was a private school. And they were like, you were the one student that we were not expecting to join because I was supposed to play sports. And instead I joined the service. My mom was like, what are you doing? The only person that was happy was my grandfather, who was also prior military, he's Army. So he was happy, he was ecstatic, but my mom and stepdad are like, you're supposed to play ball, you're supposed to go to college, you're supposed to be an anesthesiologist. So I was like, I'm ready to get out of here. I'm joining the Navy. I was in the Navy, joined as a boatswain mate, so a BM, basically people that drive the boats, all that fun stuff. And I transitioned over to yeoman, and then I played volleyball for the all-Navy sports team. Coached while I was in Virginia Beach, still love it to this day. And then I also was a civil servant as well for about 4.5 years. So 8.5 years total, the Navy. So got some love for other branches, I guess.
Some. Dave, what's your connection to all things military and veteran?
I watch MASH a lot, but that's not. No. Listen, I watched it when I was young. I'm 41. It was on.
It was
okay,
around.
It was around. I had family that was in the military, and I have friends who are veterans, and I've made friends who are veterans. So that's really my connection with the military. I've never served. Just hearing stories throughout the year from from people that I knew was always kind of my connection to the military. So
what makes you care? Like why?
Because to me it was always these people are willing to go and put their lives on the line for a greater cause, and for me, who I wasn't willing to go and do that, I just always see that as like a bigger thing than myself, and I've always had underneath I've had this like feeling that I need to do more. I've had opportunities recently to do more, which I'm grateful for. But it's always been like that nagging thing to me that it was like they're doing something that I didn't want to do. It wasn't I wasn't willing to do. I made the choice not to do, and they made this conscious choice to go out there and possibly put their life on the line. So that's the long answer. But I'm still sticking. I'm still. I'm still sticking with MASH is my number one answer. Okay.
Something we've talked a lot about, Nick, over the last year, I feel like, and it's always become like a point of emphasis whenever I talk about being able to work with veterans and Team Foster is that, and it's not that you want to diss people about doing it or saying it, but that concept of do more, right? Like that concept of the people that see you in public and say thank you for your service.
Yeah. And I'm super careful, right, when we talk about this, right, because it is polite, and it is kind.
And the intention is there.
Yes.
Like you understand and appreciate the intention.
And I know you all have heard me say this and share this before, but I get to put on a uniform once a month, and inevitably somebody's stop and shake my hand, buy my coffee, they even buy me lunch sometimes. And it's not that it's not appreciated, it is, right? And that era and the era we live in is very different than what your dad lived through, right? What the Vietnam vets that came after him, what they lived through. And so I just want to be cognizant of, it's not that I'm not appreciative,
Right.
but if you want to recognize veterans, if you want to recognize and thank and show the men and women who gave the most, then you got to show up. Right, that's what we talk about. You have to do something, right? It's not, the world doesn't get better. Our veterans don't get more resources. They don't get helped by stopping and shaking my hand. That makes you feel better, and I appreciate that in that moment, right? But it doesn't actually make an impact, right? And the people that deserve it the most.
Right.
One of the reasons, and I know we haven't talked about it a lot, that I really felt passionate about Team Foster is because of the conversation that we had. The very first conversation we had where you brought that up about, thank you for your service, is because I have thought that throughout my entire adult life. It's like, that's great to say all that.
We've all said it.
I feel like we've all said it at some point. But there was a point that I hit that I was just like, why do we keep saying this when it's thank you so much, thank you for your service. But I kept going back to that thing. It's like, okay, you're in a uniform, so you're saying that, but you're not going to say that to that person who is on the street who doesn't have a dollar to his name. And it's like, why are you not saying that to them as well? But also going, hey, let me get you a room for the night. You know what I mean? Don't just say, you know what I mean? Don't just say that.
We've all been at a restaurant, and you've had, we've seen veterans across the way with a Vietnam hat on, and Adric and Nash will see them, and point him out and want to go shake his hand and say thank you. I mean, God, you have 12 kids at dinner.
Listen, don't add any more kids in my tab, all right?
That's too many things.
Yeah,
It's just too.
He's at 12 minutes.
It's like a receiving line of thank yous. It's just too much.
The veteran's like, what the fuck?
Kids, go say thank you for your service. And even if that's like, hey, listen, four is enough, all right?
But to that point, but I'll also, Rough Ride. The boys came for a little bit, and Adric got on the bike and was riding, and Nash got on the bike and
didn't want to get off.
And didn't want to get off, right? Right? But that's the example, right? I love the fact that my kids see a veteran and want to go say thank you. Yeah. And that's where that appreciation comes. And when we talk about this, like you said, you never want to come across like it's not appreciated when people say it, because you know that in their heart that's what it is. And that's why, like David, it resonated with me over the last year that's become a speaking point for Team Foster is show up. And you and I had this conversation, we were talking about Rough Ride, that's the newest, that's our push, show up. Let's not just let's show up for vets.
Yeah, I think if you think about it, thank you for your service is an entry point, right? And that's an absolutely appropriate entry point. It makes sense, but the way, in life, right, we show our commitment to our partners and to our families, to our employers, is by sacrificing our time and our energy and our resources. Yeah. I think our veterans, especially the ones who are the most needy, and to your point, Dave, right? Yes, they're the homeless vets and the ones that are on the brink of homelessness, but there's also the veterans that are coming fresh out of service, right? That need some direction on where to find a job. They need mentors, right? That need some direction. So I think there's a lot of different ways to show up. Participating, volunteering, donating, or just helping out.
Yeah.
Veterans and mental health. Tell me what that means to you.
Yeah, I think mental health, it's a big thing, Like I was saying, mental health isn't talked about. Maybe it is now. I don't know. I'm not in anymore. But when I was in, even before that, people never talked about it. It was like, oh, you're depressed. Don't talk about it because you'll get kicked out. You'll get a dishonorable discharge or whatever. But it comes in layers. It can go if you served overseas. It could even just be if you're in stateside, if you didn't leave anywhere. But it's something that I think people need to open up about and talk more about, because it's healthy to it's human nature. We all go through things, whether it's at home, whether it's during your service, it doesn't matter. But just having an open, talk track to do that, it can make somebody feel good, just even just listening to a vet talk. But I think mental health is still one of those stigmas in the military where just people are, either downplay it or we don't want to talk about it, or they're crazy because they act a certain kind of way. And it's like, no, they just need to listen to somebody, So I'm hoping that'll change. I'm sure it probably is. But when I was in, again, it was, don't talk about it. Don't say you're depressed. Don't say you're anxious. Don't say, X, Y, and Z. 'Cause you'll get that little bad check next to your name.
So for folks like Matt and Dave, what do you want people to know when it comes to veterans and mental health? What do you think? It's one thing, and maybe it's comfortable, maybe it's an uncomfortable thing. So what would you want people to know about that?
Be gentle, but also just be open, because you never know what you're going to hear. You could hear war stories, you could hear, people witnessing things, but also just having someone there, I think, to talk is just a warm feeling, and just have your open ears. You don't have to say anything, you don't have to relate, obviously, but just sit there and just listen. And I think that will honestly do wonders for a lot of people, just to sit and listen and have open ears.
So I was at an event this week specifically about Team Foster, and was approached by a very well-meaning person, and he said something to me to the fact, he's like, hey, I did this effort and I did these things because I discovered that only vets understand vets. Mm-hmm. And it took me a little bit to figure out, but he says that, and the first, it immediately grated on me, but I couldn't figure out why. And I think what it was is that it's this idea, and again, that somehow we're separating veterans from everybody else, whether you put them on a pedestal or whether you put them over here, and they're somehow set apart. Yes, right? Ciara has probably had experiences in her service that Matt did not, right? Ciara's probably had experiences that Dave has not, and even though we both served, we're in different branches, had different jobs at different times, we've had experiences that each other have not. And I think my point is that yes, there are some things that are perhaps more cohesive and more universal for the veteran population, but I also don't know what it's like to teach high school students every day. I don't know what it's like to run my own clothing brand. I don't know what it's like to have a very hard life and come up with dad jokes.
He's like to do whatever you do.
Yeah, whatever this, all this yummy goodness is.
Hoarded by fans. You recognize you.
But we all get along, right? We all connect and we're all friends, even though our experiences are different. So I think I say that to yes, can veterans support other veterans? 100%, right? Is it in some ways easier?
Yeah.
Maybe. Mm-hmm. But also, when you're talking to a vet, it's not, you're just talking to them like a
normal person,
normal human, right? Ask them about the experience. What was your job? I will tell you, at the same event, I had somebody come back, his first question out of his mouth said, well, where did you deploy? Well, listen, maybe I didn't deploy at all.
Yeah.
Right? Or why?
One day. That day's good.
Yeah. And it's again, it goes back, yes, I have deployed. Yes, I have done things, but there's just there's stuff that's baked into that versus if you just say, hey, what'd you do? Okay, what was your job in the Army? What was your job in the Navy? Did you go anyplace fun? Did you enjoy it? Yeah. And it gets to that mental health piece. It's the connectivity, right? It's feeling like you're supported and feeling like you're part of something bigger, which is is all of you, right? Mm-hmm. You're all part of our community.
It's funny to play devil's advocate to what you're saying, and I'll go with the perspective of the person that you were talking about who said veterans only get veterans is because of exactly the conversation that we're having right now. Or maybe, I'm not going to speak for their experience, but it might be because they've never had anyone actually truly listen to them. Mm-hmm. The only person that listens to them are the veterans. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's exactly why I'm glad we're having this conversation now, because it's one of those things where it's we love to say, like you said, thank you for your service, but we don't ask anything else beyond that. We don't talk about anything else beyond that because it might be uncomfortable. It might be something that we get into that they might need to air out themselves and get off their chest. And it's like, they're like, no, the only person I can talk to is the same person that went through the same shit that I went through. And they may not be the person that I need to talk to about this. So you know, even when you first said it, I was like, maybe he was just being like, well, where'd you deploy? You know what I mean? Or, you know, or veterans only, you know, only can talk to veterans. It might be because they've never had anyone else talk to them who would actually listen to what they were saying. So
No, and I think both of those things are true.
Yeah.
Right? Because
Yeah.
it's over there, like, oh no, like you're special, you're different, you're part of that 1%. And there's just sort of an assumption like, oh, I'm not going to get it, or a preconception that, oh, you must have like dealt with some really traumatic shit, right? Or you must have killed people, or you must have had your friends killed. Maybe some of those things are true, but maybe none of them are true, right? Maybe that person was a cook or a truck driver or a logistician, you know, and just had it was a 9-to-5 gig, right? But the only way you get there is to have these conversations.
Have the conversation.
Is to talk to them.
Exactly.
Talk to them
You're
like
never
they're
gonna
humans,
know.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone has a why, right? Everyone has a why as to what they do, whatever they do. And my words, my advice to anyone who is go find your why for supporting, and you can support anything you want, but like if we're talking just veterans and military, go find why you should support, because you're gonna find it. Like David said, there's friends and family and people that he has in his life that he's able to look back on and say, well, that's why. Like, I know these are friends of mine that I know served and made that decision or made that sacrifice. And that is what I found. My dad, my brother, friends, you, like Team Foster was my why. It just resonated instantly. And when you find it, you're going to be in, like, because this community is so absolutely incredible and it's so welcoming and rewarding. So that's it. Go find why you should do more and why you should show up.
Supporting our military veterans shouldn't be limited to one day. It's something we can do all year long. Showing up for veterans just takes a little time, effort, or a thoughtful choice. Small choices can make a big impact. Ready to start? Here are a few ways you can show up for vets. 1. Donate to your local VFW. 2. Support a food bank that helps veterans in need. 3. Become a puppy raiser and help train a future service dog for a veteran. Or 4. Join Team Foster as a volunteer at events or by sharing your professional skills.